Welcome to the Watchin podcast. This is a special edition. On today's show, we are talking with the director and lead actor of Chaser, now available on Prime Video. I'm your host, Robert, and with me is Donnell. Go ahead and introduce yourself, guys.
Hey, Robert. Hey, Donnell. Russ Russo here. Good to see you guys.
Yep, nice to
Yep.
see you.
Yo, it's Daniel Romer here. How it goes.
Yes. So, Daniel is the director of Chaser and writer, right?
Pretty much. Yeah, I had some
Yeah.
help, but yeah, I wrote it.
Nice. And then Russ, you were our lead, playing a very interesting character.
I loved it. I loved the character that you played. I guess we'll start with Russ. What was your kind of your inspiration or basis for the character?
Yeah, for Eddie.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Daniel knows that some of it was Daniel.
Really?
Gotcha.
That he hired me, and you have like a month or two before being hired to sort of try to create a character. He had like a really deep stutter built into the script, so I was, creating the physicality, the mannerisms, and all of these things. And then all of a sudden, I got there, and we had like a week before shooting, maybe 3 4 days, something like that. And I started to get to know Daniel, and it's interesting how like you can create something, and then you start to go, wait a second, there's something I missed about this character. And by the time we started shooting, first of all, we started shooting, and Daniel was like, I don't think I want that stutter. I don't think I don't think the stutter is much. So it became sort of ever changing, and it's sort of like it started to happen in the moment. And I think he was sort of formed, through the relationship with Daniel and the other characters, and with Daniel's note about the stutter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel, this was a really interesting take on the kind of time travel concept. Where did you pull this from? What was your like? Are you big into time travel novels and just thought, oh, I've known these editors. What if we took this concept of editing film and threw it into the time travel genre, kind of a Groundhog Day type situation?
Yeah, Groundhog Day is such a great film. Yeah, I guess that you never like watch Groundhog Day and think, time travel movie. But
Yeah.
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 and I think this kind of falls into that category as, you're re-editing life, but editing it's manipulating time. And then since it is his life, it's like he's manipulating the time in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like there's not somebody jumping in a metal, you know, flying around.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just always ends up going back to like sports with me. When I was a
Mm.
little kid, I played some ice hockey with my siblings, and my dad filmed us, and he reversed the footage, and it kind of like blew our minds, like watching us like skate around backwards. So that was the first time I ever remember the time travel aspect on a film that really affected me.
Is that why you specifically put in the scene where he was reversing in the car?
No, that wasn't specifically. I mean, it might connect in my brain or something,
Yeah.
but I wanted, like, a really long shot where you could just watch it play out with, like, no editing, and, if you watch someone, like, make a turn and go all the way down the street for, like,
Yeah.
10 seconds or 15 seconds, however long it was, and, like, if you saw that in real life, you'd be like, "Whoa, what the heck?" Like, so I always like movies where you can like see every once in a while they just let it play out, especially like action movies.
Yeah.
They always feel like they have to cut every 2 seconds, and it's
Yeah. The long shot.
yeah,
So, I guess one of the things I was thinking about, is, as everyone does in almost any circumstance where you have the ability to control going back in time, you always, want to better your life. We see Eddie, start going back in time and like get betting and gambling, getting some money and all that stuff. And so I guess I was thinking, like, that's kind of obvious. What would you do if you had these powers? I also kind of thinking like, have you guys put in any thought, since you wrote it, and like, what would you do if you had the ability to like jump back a day and just edit something?
Yeah, I wouldn't. That's like,
Too risky, too risky?
yeah. I mean, you risk. I've got two daughters, 2 and 4 years old.
Mm,
Lovely wife, a great home, and even though there were a lot of, and I mean a lot of ups and downs to get here, I feel like if I manipulated any portion of time, I would have never met her. I
yeah.
would
Hmm.
never have this life, and so I can't, even my worst days, I can't. I I wouldn't be able to do it, man. It's too
Yeah.
risky, and especially exploring Eddie. Now I know it's too risky.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the moral of the story. I don't wanna obviously give anything away, and anybody who wants to watch it, then go find it on Prime Video. But yeah, yeah, in the end, it was not ex it I mean, it kinda worked out once he gave it up,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And also, could he have gotten to that point without going through everything?
yeah.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, I think that's one thing I took away from it is like, and I mean that's what all the almost the time travel sort of movies shows show you, like the butterfly effect and all that stuff, is that messing with time just isn't worth it. But also the Eddie at the end of the show, while still, awkward and not, he was definitely a different version of himself than the Eddie we saw at the beginning. He was more, while still awkward, he was definitely more sure of himself and seemed like he was a little bit more in control of himself and knew what he was like kind of going for. Even though I guess he didn't technically have a job at the end, but he still seemed like he was in a better place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I found that to be true as well. I mean, that was a great through line to have it so that by the time he got with Fran and like that, that it was, that's where he needed to be, where he
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm kind
yeah.
of curious, Russ, like when you do the arc of the character, we're shooting all out of order, as everybody knows. When you shoot a film, it's all out of order. What do you personally, Russ? I don't know if you want to reveal, but how do you keep track of that, the arc of the character like that?
No, I mean that's a good question. I really I know what his journey's going to be. I sort of like map out my thoughts and my and the things that I want to have happen in any given scene. So by the time we were playing that scene, I know that I want these things to happen inside of me, and then hopefully they convey to the audience. Because yeah, I do remember like maybe a weekend shooting the final scene and having it feel so real, even though like 20 more days had to happen before the entirety of the project was
Wow,
shot.
really, really? So, yeah,
Yeah,
so let's talk about the production. So 20 days from shooting what would be the final scene of the show to completing the whole thing. What was
right.
kind of the timeline from developing the idea, writing it, and then, putting it into production and then filming it? What kind of timeline was it?
Well, we didn't have hardly any budget, so timeline, it always goes, like, way longer, like, when you don't have things to go to real quick.
Yeah.
It's Hal, he's dialing in.
Boy, the Hal character was great. I
Yeah,
thought he was gonna be like a super villain, like, halfway through this thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm like, "Oh, he's just messing with Eddie."
yeah,
Which
yeah,
he was, but not in the way we thought.
yeah.
yeah, yeah, Hal's definitely his purpose was to try. I always like characters that, like, you're not sure if they're good or bad, you know? You're
I mean,
saying
I think in the end, we don't really know if he's necessarily good or bad, in my opinion.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when Russ's character, Eddie meets, Hal, even when all that well, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Even when that one scene
We've already broken
Yeah.
spoilers. We talked about Fran, like,
okay,
the
yeah,
cat's out of the bag,
yeah,
Yeah, spoilers, everyone. If you go watch the show before you listen to us
Yeah.
completely destroy it.
Yeah, we just break it down at this point.
right.
Anyway,
Uh,
getting back on track. How long between getting this written and starting production? Did you have this in the bag for like 10 years or?
No, yeah, so the writing of it, I think it was about a year of writing, and that was, like, 2015, I think. I did do a short film in the early 2000s that it was kind of loosely based on, and we actually referenced that film in the series. It's called The Select Fit, and it
mhm.
has, like, kind of a similar concept of where this guy can like rewind these angels and then kind of
Mm,
do stuff. And then pre-production, and then we cast for quite a long time to find. Finally, we found Russ at the very end. I was about ready. I told everybody I was like, I'm not. I don't want to. I would close down the production if we don't find somebody that can do it right, and do it amazingly well. And luckily, we got the stars gave us the star, and and
Yeah.
then we shot for, I think it was 21 filming days, which was not a lot, and then you get I think, I don't know if we got Saturdays and Sundays off, but I know we at least got Saturdays off. I didn't really get any days off. I was lucky, but, and then, of course, the actors are working around the clock, perfecting their character and
yeah.
memorizing, and, I mean, we had new pages and new lines. And then there's quite a bit of post-production, I guess I would call it writing. So Susanna actually helped us restructure, because originally the film was meant to be a feature film,
Mm,
and we couldn't we couldn't get the minutes down to where we wanted it. It was
Yeah.
coming about 2.5 hours, and finally we were like, "You know what? Let's let it breathe and feel how it's supposed to feel." And then it went back out to about 3 hours, and then we broke those 3 hours into the 8 episodes.
yeah, and I
So
commend that. I hate it when there's a something is edited down for time when there was really more story to tell there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was gonna say, so while watching it, and it was one of the things. I mean, I'm assuming they kind of alluded that this was on purpose. But while watching it, there kept being like kind of glitches that would happen in the filming. And then also like it seemed like sometimes there was like there were sometimes where it's directly like at the very beginning, you did the whole callback to the beginning. But it seemed like some stuff happened out of order, and a little bit later in it, Eddie actually says he's like, "This was you." So was it always kind of like intended that while we're watching it, seeing these glitches, that it was kind of like Gar in the background, kind of screwing with things?
Yeah, that's a good notice on that, because, there are clips and shots in there. Well, there's different kinds. There's some that are just out of order, and then others, there's, like, glitch shots where it's like, like in Fight Club, where they cut in a frame here, or,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
kinda like that. So, yeah, you're trying to, like, balance you don't want the audience to get too confused, but, like, for the most part, the story was pretty straightforward, which I liked, because that gives you a more bandwidth to do weird stuff, and I like doing weird stuff. So, it's more of a hero's journey, but then that gives you ability to, yeah, certain parts you can, like, cut out of order, or do a flash frame of, Nebula, or
yeah.
whatever.
So Russ,
Yeah.
so the character you play, he plays a movie editor. Do you have experience with that, or did you just kind of fake it along the way, or did you have someone there that was like, "Oh, this is what it should look like when you're, messing around with the keyboard?" And the follow-up is you did so well playing a character that did not handle computers and technology well. Like when you call text, so we both work in IT, me and Donnell, for a long time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like, lots of techie experience. So when you picked up that phone, is like, I need help with this computer. I was like, I feel the person on the other line. Like, you nailed it so good. So what is your technical background?
Yeah, it's interesting because, when I got there, Daniel Romer has done quite a bit of editing for years, you know, Adobe Pro and all these Pro Cut tools and things. So he was showing me a bit of that. And now, ironically, in my everyday life, I run an acting studio here out of Red Bank, New Jersey, and I'm constantly editing scenes for my students because we do film and television classes.
Mm.
So that's become my life in the last several years. But at the time that I was playing this, not so much. And the other and the other thing is, I once had a job where I worked, and this isn't IT by any means, but where I worked for Apple doing a little bit of IT.
Mm.
Like one of those in between jobs. When you're a young actor, and I was like, oh man. I could definitely feel that it
Yeah.
sense like what customers felt like when they called in and they were having a problem with the iPhone in
Yeah.
its original heyday.
So, thing I noticed, and this is just kind of seems to be TV, movies in general, is so as we watch this, like I said, Eddie, uses this power like most people would to better his life. Get some money, get himself a nice car. He's going out and buying stuff for everybody, paying for everything, and he gets this kind of I don't know like cocky deuce persona that he adopts, where he's just kind of talking down to everybody. And I just wonder why. And I'm not sure if this is even a question, more of just a statement, because like if you remember back Spider-Man 3 when Peter Parker gets the black symbiote suit, he kind of gets this like it seems like when people start to go from like
Yeah,
"Ah,
he's
I'm a
like
nobody"
finger guns and
to "I got some power," suddenly everyone's like, "Nah, I'm a cocky dude." And I was like, Eddie very much just leaned into that.
Yeah.
I see Donnell softly trying to ask the question, how did you play loser so much?
uh that is, it's funny. It's a lot of it is it's embarrassing, but it's from life. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced where like you got a little something, man, and it's so true that the minute you get a little something, you find yourself getting a little bit high on yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah.
And I recognized it in myself, like some early years in Hollywood when I had some traction going, and then when things got a little darker, I was like, wow, man, wow, I had to set myself straight, and so it was easy to kind of filter that into the character, and of course, this is something that Daniel Romer wrote into the character, so it was like, oh, now I have to go all out
Yeah.
because this is
Well,
something
I
that.
mean, it's good being able to have that inspiration to pull from him here. So
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
unfortunately,
in
he's
your
the pull
defense,
for.
that's what you're supposed to do in Hollywood. The second you get any kind of traction, you're like, "Oh, it's the best thing ever. I'm the greatest thing ever. Sign me
Right.
up for everything," and
Yeah.
then fake it till you make it kind of thing. And then it's probably hard to turn that off once
It's
if it doesn't
hard.
work
It's
out.
embarrassing, man. When the thing doesn't work out, you're like signed onto a studio film and they're all ready to go, and then the production shuts down, and you're like, yeah, greatest things is Wonder Bread. It's shut down. Oh my god, I'm in dark. I'm in darkness now. So yeah, absolutely.
So Daniel, real quick, this is an odd question. Why is it called Chaser?
Mm, mhm.
I remember the exact moment that I figured out that I wanted to name it that, which is kind of rare. But I was like playing ping pong. I think we were playing like beer pong, and
Nice reference. I got it.
yeah, yeah. And at the time, I was I don't really drink much, but I had a friend over, and he was just like, giving us different drinks and stuff, and he's like, I was like, I don't like this one. He's like, no, no, just drink, take a chaser with it.
That's
And
funny. That's funny. Because
yeah,
I
and
was trying to think what it was, and I was like, "Is he playing like on Chase Her or something?" I'm like, "Or
yeah.
is he really just talking about drinking?" Like,
Well, it's both because I there's I can't remember what movies. There's movies that the titles have dual
oh
meanings,
yeah, yeah,
or
Yeah.
Mhm.
absolutely,
they sound like something like Royal Tenenbaums. You know what
yeah,
I mean? It's like it kind of sounds like Christmas and or the royal.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
in your mind, you like make a connection that's more than just the title. You know?
Yeah, and I saw it as like I know in reading it, especially reading Eddie's journey, I thought he was a chaser.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah, he for sure was a chaser. Like he was chasing everything that was out there
Yeah,
that was perfect and better than what he had here.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, like for some reason, when I hear chaser, I think of like a firework that like you see like a.
Mhm.
I don't even know if
Okay,
that's a
yeah, yeah.
real thing, but it's like, is that a chaser or like what is that?
Well,
You know,
there's tracers and guns.
tracers, maybe that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah.
So a little bit about maybe each of you individually. Like, what really? I guess starting with Russ. Like, sounds like you've been doing this a while. So, what really like got you started in acting? What really brought you into it? Was it something you always were pursuing, or?
Yeah, it's strange because I have students now that are, 13, 14 years old. And I remember going up to my mom when I was that age, and she brought me to this agency that she found out of the white pages. And it looked really promising because it was right here in Red Bank, New Jersey. And they ended up being like a scam agency, and they wanted thousands of dollars. And it really depressed me, man. Being a teenager and like finally figuring out like what you want,
Yeah.
and to have it to be like a scam. That's why I opened up the school, because I was like, I don't want anybody to ever feel that way. If they want to pursue this, I'm going to give them the tools to pursue this as a profession. So that that was young for me, but then I had to like wait to like my college years, 19, 20, to go like, oh, this isn't working out. I'm in college, I'm studying, I'm doing things, but like, man, I kept getting like pulled into theater and acting and student films, and and that's just what I pursued after that, and just went
Right.
full in, full in. That's why the ups and downs, because when you go full into something that can be as volatile as a film and TV acting career, there's some dark days, man.
You
Yeah.
were an NYU guy, right,
At one
Russ?
point, yeah, yeah. I did. I was there. I was at USF. I was at Brookdale College. I bounced around, man. I bounced around because I really couldn't find my footing. Couldn't find my footing at that age. A lot of people I think go through that though. They
Yep,
can't
I
Yeah.
did.
can't find.
Who knows what's going on in your 20s? Come on, in your
Yeah.
early
Yeah,
20s, like
yeah.
One of
It's a
the
blur. It's a
ridiculousness
blur.
of society is like, "You're 20, figure out your life now." I'm like, "What?" But
Russ, you're in New Jersey, which isn't that far away. I mean, it's almost New York. And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then Daniel, you're in the UK,
I
right?
live in London now, yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. Do you find it difficult being that far from Hollywood, from California, to work in this industry?
I lived in LA for, like, 15 years, so I kind of, I got
Yeah, like Daniel
Roseburg.
Radcliffe is like he goes from like 2 feet tall to 9 feet tall over the course of 7 movies. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's the challenge of, I guess, casting
yeah,
kids, and I think Daniel did it like a year ahead of time. So it was like you just don't know what's going to happen, a year in a kid's life. This kid shot up, voice deepened, and you
Yeah.
know, and it just wasn't working on the project the first few days, and had to let him go.
Some of the best films that we hail as the world's best films, like Casablanca. They're writing pages on the script, every day on the set.
Yeah.
It's crazy like that, and you watch the final product, and it's genius, I think that goes, if it turned out, it goes to the that type of thinking and ability, and I think our whole cast and crew had that. It was definitely a very difficult shoot, but that's one thing, the qualities that everybody had.
So yeah, watching the movie, I think even though, as Robert said, I was just saying he was awkward. But Robert said Eddie's a little bit of a loser, but he is very relatable. Like watching him is like I've done that. I've been there. I very much can see being Eddie, but the one thing that I can't is the part where Eddie. I mean I've even drank, and I still feel like drunk me wouldn't make this choice of where Eddie agrees to bet for the laptop. I'm like, you have godlike powers and you're
Yeah.
gonna bet him on a game of beer pong. What is going on? That was the one part where like, nope, Eddie, this is where me and you diverge. I can see myself
I,
getting cocky, buying a sports car, cheating in the lottery. I'm gonna do all that stuff. I could see myself chasing after a girl that I have no chance with, and see all that. But the moment he's like, "Yeah, let's bet the laptop," like, I'm out. I'm out.
so I'm going to defend the writing choice because my opinion is anything that happens is Hal making him go through the steps of the path, the golden path, right? Because he's got the master stone or whatever.
That's right. That's
Right,
right.
and in fact, when he does lose the laptop, that's what he finds out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Hal sends him like an iPad or something. It's like, here,
Yeah, he's like, "Don't worry," you know, and yeah, he sends him the replacement tablet.
I really feel when Hal sets Eddie up with the laptop and he was like, "You only do 24 hours," and all that stuff. And then the second guard gets it. This is like pops up. You want to override the 24 hours? Like, yes. And I was like, that was there the whole time. I'm like, I guess
Yeah.
I guess Eddie's got a
well,
little bit more restraint than the rest of us because I might have poked around in the program a little. to
yeah,
see.
wasn't the rule like if you went
I
past the
want
24 hours, you started to break the universe and all sorts of things, which Hal kind of talks about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I would have.
Yeah. Which Garv obviously doesn't give a shit about breaking
Nah.
breaking, breaking those rules. That's okay for but Eddie kind of stuck to it a little bit.
And I think
Yeah.
too, since Gar doesn't really know how to edit, um, those things break down even quicker, like when he
Oh yeah,
things he is trying to do. Um, yeah.
Yes,
yeah. Gar was a great character, as well as I'm gonna make sure Annabelle. Um, yeah, just the main cast all did great jobs with the characters that they were set to play.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, no, it was a nice little bit of good amount of comedy while also still being like I said, it told a good story that, had a very like solid point at the end. Um I enjoyed it. I also, like I said, I did like Eddie's hero's journey going from, and but I also like what I like about it, and it sounds weird, is he's still Eddie at the end of it. He's just like, I don't know, improved Eddie. Like you still see the same character from the beginning, but it's like, but he's grown and he's more assured of himself. And it's just
yeah,
nice to see that change just happen through him.
So
yeah.
final. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I feel like he's more grounded. Definitely
Yeah.
more grounded
Yeah.
by the end. Yeah.
So final question for you guys. Definitely left open for a sequel. Is that in the works? Are you
I,
guy open to doing a
I was gonna
sequel on this?
We're
say,
open.
Well, I went a long ways to put "to be continued." Dot dot dot. So,
A
yeah,
lot of editing to get there, right?
definitely a sequel.
nice, nice. Yeah, I was about to say I watched the interview with you, Russ, where you dropped some like maybe a season 2. So I was like,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
What about besides this? You guys have anything in the that you guys are working on that if you can talk about it? I don't know how those sort of things are, but anything you guys working on or anything like that?
I wish I could talk about it, but Daniel knows, like behind closed doors, it's there's a couple things that are coming up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Russ got some huge stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's things change so quick, so it's not always. I don't. I always hate it when they're like, "Oh, we can't talk about it" or whatever. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
know.
I mean, there's. I think it's usually because it changes so quick. Like
It does.
all of
Yeah.
a sudden,
You don't
so and
want the financing to drop out. Like I've had that happen before.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to be like, oh, the financing is in place, and this big actor's attached, and that big actor's attached. And but the actual shoot date is until like October 1st. So it's like in
Yeah.
between there, you don't want to be out there saying it, and then it drops out, and then people are like, was he lying about that?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't want to tempt fate
Uh,
and all that stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well,
But the
okay.
the nice thing is, like, looking at the past because both of us Russ, you've been doing this for decades. I've been
Couple days.
25 plus years directing. So, looking back, you look forward and it's only up and away the, uh, the stuff that we have coming up, it's similar genre and then also new stuff, new genres like that. So,
Nice.
yeah, I'm, like, super excited about stuff, and I know definitely, Russ, you have
Yeah.
stuff very close coming up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, where
So,
can they follow you if they want to get updates on when you can talk about those
Oh
projects?
yeah, actor Russ Russo, IG and TikTok.
The easiest place for me is just my personal Instagram, which is at DF as in Frederick, DF Romer, Roemer. And then I have like a link tree and you can get all to my other stuff from there.
all right. Well, I know you can't say anything, but at the beginning of this thing, we talked about the beard, and you said, "Yeah." So is the beard really for the next role? Can you at least tell
Yeah,
us that?
it's connected to that. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Because I mean, I mean, don't get me wrong, Eddie looks fine too, but I'm liking the beard. I'm just saying,
All
I'm
right.
liking the beard.
Much more mature
Cool.
character.
Yeah. But when he goes back to Eddie, that's it, man.
When we hired this guy 4 weeks ago, he didn't have the beard, and now he's got the beard. I, again, everybody, that's the show is called Chaser. You can find it on Amazon Prime Video. It's fantastic. 8 20-minute episodes. Just great story, great directing, and great job, Russ, on the character that you created, and great job, Daniel, on creating the character.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. Thanks, Donnell.
Yeah, thanks for being here, guys.
As always, you can find us on our website, watchinitpod.com. There you can find links to our social media and to email us, watchinitpodcast@gmail.com. Donnell, what else should they do?
Well, since this is a special, I have no idea when it's coming out, so I can't tell you what to check out. But whatever we're covering right now, just keep watching that. And as always, give us any ratings, reviews, 5 stars. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Bye.